You ever look across the dinner table at your wife and realize she's there, but she's gone? You didn't fight. There's no infidelity or anything. You've just slowly drifted apart over time. You're still married, but it feels like you're living with a roommate instead of a lover or a life partner. You're doing all the right things. You're showing up. You're paying the bills. You're a good dad. You're helping out with the kids. Something just seems to be missing. That spark, that feeling that she actually wants to be close to you. Now, I've seen so many men lose their marriages in this slow drift, quietly, slowly, and over time, without even realizing it. To be honest, I've had men reach out to me and tell me, hey, your content is great, but it's too late for me. My wife already left. And I almost ended my own marriage when I didn't show up and my wife decided to call it quits. But we managed to turn things around. And I wanted to share 5 ways that men typically ruin good marriages without even realizing it, and what you can do to make sure this doesn't happen to you. If this hits home, go ahead and subscribe. I put out videos every single week to help you love and lead better in your relationship, so you can be the husband who's stronger, calmer, and leads a more connected marriage with his wife. All right, so let's get into it. So the first mistake that men tend to make is they stop leading with presence. So I get it, you're home, but your mind is somewhere else. You're listening, but you're not really hearing, right? You're doing things for her, but she doesn't really feel you. I used to do this all the time with Kate. We'd be sitting on the couch after a long day together. She'd be talking to me about her day. I'd be on my phone, kind of half scrolling emails, or really mentally writing tomorrow's to-do list and kind of answering her. And she'd finally stop mid-sentence and say, hey, you're not here with me. And she was right, as embarrassing as it was. I thought being home and being there meant being present, and it doesn't. Present isn't about just being there. It's about attention. Presence is oxygen. Without it, your marriage suffocates. And the truth, Kate didn't want me to fix her day for her or even solve anything. She just wanted me to be felt. She wanted me to feel her, to know that she mattered more in that moment than whatever was happening in my head. So I started small. Every night, after the kids went to bed, I'd sit down beside her, I'd turn off my phone, and I'd just ask, hey, what was the best part of your day? What was the hardest part of your day? Honestly, the first few nights, it felt kind of awkward. Then, all of a sudden, something shifted, like she trusted that I was putting in the effort. She softened, her laughter came back, we started laughing together, and that's when I realized presence is like love made visible. So try this. Tonight, give her 5 minutes of your undivided attention. Eyes on her, energy on her, nothing to fix. Just be there. It'll change things way more than you think. So ask yourself, when was the last time your wife had your full attention? The second mistake men tend to make is they confuse peace and avoidance. So I get it. A lot of men, we don't really like conflict. So we stay quiet, we minimize, we walk away, we say things are fine when they're not, because we don't want to get into it. We like to keep the peace. And in these moments, you think you're keeping the peace, but really you're building distance. I've seen this all the time. Men confuse calm with connection. But what looks like calm on the outside is often avoidance or withdrawal on the inside. I remember coaching one of the men in our group, right? Solid dude, huge, big heart. And he's a great dad. He was a good man. But every time tension came up, he'd shut down. He told me, Eric, I don't want to fight with my wife. And I said, hey, listen, you're not avoiding fighting. You're actually avoiding feeling. And that's not going to work for your connection with your wife. And I remember he said that even his wife said to him, you're just agreeing with me, so we stop talking. right? I remember he told me that hit him like a punch in the chest because that's what he was doing. She was right. He wasn't being honest. He was being polite. He was placating her. We call it fawning. So we practiced a new way. When tension rose, instead of disappearing or fawning, he stayed present. He'd take a deep breath. He'd look at her in the eyes and he'd say, "Hey, I don't want this to get ugly, but I do want to understand what's going on for you." That one sentence built safety between them. It allowed him to be present and it allowed her to open up. So peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of truth with connection still intact. So remember these 3 R's. Regulate, which is slow down your breathing and stay grounded. Reveal, which is say what's true in a kind way, even if it's messy. And repair, which is reach out after conflict with a touch, a word, a gesture that says, we're still good, like an olive branch. So think about it. Are you keeping the peace or are you building the peace? The third mistake men make is they lose their edge. So when you first met your wife, you had energy, you flirted, you were on a mission, you chased her, right? Then all of a sudden, work, bills, responsibility, kids, mortgage, all that stuff kind of took over. And somewhere in there, you disconnected to your fire. That fire just became embers. And that's when attraction starts to fade. Not because she changed, but because you lost the part of you that made you feel alive. Right? I remember when I stopped training, I was tired, I was heavy, right? I was just surviving. Kate didn't nag me, right? She just allowed me to do whatever I wanted to do, but she did go quiet. There was no flirting, there was no playfulness. The conversations were just functional. Groceries, schedules, bills. And then one night I remember her saying, "Hey, it seems like you've lost your mojo." And I kind of took it personally, right? It hurt. And I think the reason I took it so personally is because she was right. I had lost my fire. So I got back into movement, started training, started doing cold plunges, started doing martial arts, started doing Spartan races, right? Things that kind of woke up something in me. And I swear, the shift in her energy when I was doing this was instant. She looked at me differently. She smiled differently. She touched me differently. She wasn't reacting to my new awesome muscles. She was reacting to my energy, my aliveness. So if you've lost your edge, it's not about fixing her desire or trying to weasel your way in there. It's about shifting your energy and reconnecting to your fire. So make something hard happen, move, and maintain play. So when I talk about move, right? Train, sweat, breathe, all that kind of stuff. In terms of making something hard happen, pick a challenge. Challenge yourself to grow and then follow through on that challenge. And of course, play, which is such a lifeblood of energy. Joking, flirting, laughing out loud, that's life energy. And desire follows that energy. And when your energy flows, then attraction is soon to follow. So ask yourself, when is the last time you did something that made you feel truly alive? The fourth mistake men tend to make is they stop being emotionally honest. So for a lot of us as men, we're just telling our partners we're fine. Everything's fine, work's fine, I'm fine, it's all good. But oftentimes she can feel what's going on underneath you. And when you hide, she stops trusting your words. She stops feeling safe. Men are taught that emotions are weak. So we stuff them down until they eventually leak out of us as anger, as withdrawal, as self-contempt, or even contempt of others. That's not strength, right? That's fear disguised as armor. I remember working with one of our clients, right? He was a high-performing business owner, right? When it came to work, he was calm, he was logical, he was always just fine. But his wife told him, "You feel like a ghost." So we dug into that. And he realized he wasn't calm, he was numb. He learned as a kid that emotions made you a problem. That's what happened in his family of origin. So what did he do? He buried them. He disconnected himself to it. So they were all there in his body, but he was just living in his head. And then I remember one night he talked about sitting across from his wife. He said in tears, "I'm scared of losing you." He just totally broke down. And she didn't judge him. She softened. It opened her up to him, not because of his words, but because she could finally feel something in him. You don't need therapy level vulnerability here. What I often teach men is just to be truthful. So here's what works: stop pretending, share before solving, and make sure you're staying curious. Stop pretending means if you're off, say it. And when you're sharing instead of solving, just speak your truth before talking about the solution to it or staying in your cognitive mind. And finally, about staying curious, which is a superpower, just ask genuine, curious questions. Hey, what's been on your heart lately? Hey, what's been the hardest part for you this week? You don't have to say it perfectly, but you do have to say it in a real way so she can feel you. So ask yourself honestly, does your wife actually know what's going on inside you? Or are you too afraid to show her because you're afraid that you're going to be judged? Does anyone know what's happening inside you? The fifth mistake men make is they wait too long to ask for help. By the time most men tend to reach out for help, their marriage, it's not broken. It's totally numb, right? There's no big blow up. There's no affair. It's just disconnection that is slowly atrophied over time. I get it. We're taught to man up, figure it out, and like somehow fixing it ourselves or dealing with our problems on our own makes us better. But doing it alone isn't strong. It's stubborn. And I remember a guy I worked with, he said, "I thought if I just kept providing, she'd eventually see that I cared." By the time he reached out to me, his wife had already met with a lawyer. To her, it was over. She had been, debating leaving the marriage for the last 2 years. So we went at it. We built a simple plan: a daily connection practice, weekly check ins, monthly us nights, even if his wife maybe was resistant to it. 6 weeks later, she decided to tear up the paperwork. Not because he became perfect, but because finally he started leading. He started stepping up. He asked for help and started implementing what he was learning. It's like we don't wait for our car to blow up till we go get an oil change. Why would we do that for our relationship? Well, for a lot of us, we wait out of pride, out of shame, out of fear of being seen as weak. I get it. I was one of these men. But asking for help is leadership. And I often tell men this 3-step: admit it, ask for support, and act quickly. So first, admit it. Things aren't where you want them to be, and you don't know how to improve them. That's a sign you need some help. So ask and reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody that you trust. Reach out to somebody you think has some skills. And then act on it based on what you're learning. Don't just listen and take in information and do nothing. The strongest men I know don't go at it alone. I don't go at it alone. They lead themselves and they allow themselves to be led by others. That's what learning through community is all about. There's so much collective wisdom out there. So ask yourself, who are you asking for help from right now? If you have nobody, that's a sign that you need to start figuring out who your support system is going to be. Now, these 5 mistakes, they don't ruin a marriage overnight. They do it slowly through distraction, through avoidance, through comfort, through silence and pride. But the same way a marriage can fall apart is the same way you can rebuild it. One small, honest, intentional action at a time. So pick one of these this week. Be more present. Bring more truth. Find your edge. Speak from emotional honesty or ask for help. Start there. Now, as a bonus, if you want a clear plan to rebuild connection and bring some of that passion and spark back to your relationship, grab the free Reignite Your Marriage Blueprint. The link is right below this video. It'll help you figure out exactly where you're at, where you want to go, and implement some simple skills so you can turn things around in the next 30 days from neutral and transactional to fun, connected, and passionate again. Your wife deserves that version of you. Your kids do too. And honestly, so do you. So choose to lead first, lead with heart. That's how you strengthen a marriage. And that's how you build a legacy.